Go download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. Hey, I was just improvising a little bit here using just an A power chord down there, the second note of the blues scale, and then the A blues scale. How do you do this? Well, we talked about what improvisation really is in the previous video. In this video, I'm going to focus on the parts of it, because if we want to improvise like we improvise with our mind, when we talk constantly within our heads, right? We think constantly throughout the day. That's improvising. That's associating. When we dream, that's also associating. The brain never stops improvising. What we have to do is we have to take that skill that we master so well, and we have to apply it to guitar playing. And what is that? Well, we need to build some building blocks, basically, of improvisation, so the brain can take these blocks, these Lego blocks, and then start producing new things by building all kinds of stuff, combining the blocks, right? But if we don't have the blocks, if we have 10 licks and a scale, or 2 scales, or 100 scales, and we start trying to improvise, we'll fail, because we don't have any building blocks. We have 10 different licks or 100 different licks, but that's not building blocks. That's entire buildings, right? If you take, it's like, looking at, 10 Lego compositions where you build a house 10 times or build something else. That's a car. How are you going to produce anything new with that? That's impossible. You have to break it down to its smallest parts so you can start learning those and then start putting them together. Makes sense, right? And so let's look at some of the building blocks. And then in the next videos, I'll just go in deeper in some of the components here. The first component is rhythm. You just have to be very good at that. There's no way out of that. And the cool thing is with rhythm that it doesn't take that long to become good at, and you can practice it anywhere. You don't have to have your instrument. The rhythm skill is basically a matter of being able to, you can go back, one of the pretty recent videos here was about rhythm and how that is the most digital, easiest thing to understand. But what it basically is tapping your foot at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then being able to do the subdivisions with your hand. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And this is 8 notes, right? 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, as you tap your foot. And then the ability to play rhythms is to just play some of the subdivisions. That was a little triplet in there, but... Right? Those are 8 notes. You can play 16 notes, which is the same thing. You just have 4 subdivisions every time you tap your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then you have triplets. That's the odd division, where we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's it. If you can hit all the subdivisions, independent of your foot, and you can still tap your foot at a 1, 2, then you have it down, right? And then on the guitar you have down and up strokes, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Every time you stumble and in that just means that you need to practice the rhythm you just tried playing. That's really so simple. Then the second part here of that is really because, you would say that, okay, scales and arpeggios must be part of improvising. No, it's not part of improvising. It's just part of the tools you use. But you can play a whole entire solo with one first position minor pentatonic shape, right? Many people do, so. Right, that gives you tons of options, just having one simple tool like that. So what determines whether you can use the tool? Well, one very important thing, or 2 very important things, are structure and your ear. Ever tried to use the minor pentatonic? We'll just get back to structure. Ever you try to use the minor pentatonic over a minor chord progression, right? And right, if you've been using that scale a lot, then you're very good at playing it over a minor progression or over the blues progression, right? right? Or you got like a blues progression, like, right? Right? But suddenly, somebody comes around and tells you that, hey, you can use the same scale to play over, for instance, it's also a major pentatonic, right? So the A minor pentatonic is also a C major pentatonic scale. Those are the same notes, right? It's just parallel tonality. So, and then somebody comes around and says, okay, we got this song here, and it's in C major. We got the F and the G, the dominant chord of C. And you want to play a solo now with the same scale in C. And you try to use the way you used to play the scale, like. Okay. What the? Hey! It doesn't sound like I know what song I'm playing over. Right? Not at all. And that is the element of ear. If you've been practicing playing blues and playing minor tracks with that scale, then you will have, without even knowing it, you'll have gotten used to where the cool notes are for that kind of chord progression. Like. And even though you got other chords going on and all kinds of stuff happening, if you're playing and you're targeting your notes, your lines, for the A minor, in the case of A minor pentatonic, or the A dominant 7, in the case of blues, then it sounds good over all the chords because the A is the king of the chord progression. But, I'm just getting into the technicalities of this, but if you're playing another chord progression with the same scale and you're playing in major, then suddenly the whole landscape changes and other notes within the same scale now sound like home good, right? So you have to investigate the same scale, like. Let me just play two chords now. So this is a little short chord progression in C. So I have to take the same scale shape, and investigate what notes sound good now. Right? And the reason why I could just do that is because I've been training my ear. I didn't train my ear by going through intervals. Oh, that's a sharp fifth, or that's a minor seventh, or, which is fine. But I did that also, but I never really found a practical application of that other than listening for what chords you're hearing in a song and then being able to write them down, which is cool. But when it comes to playing real music and creating your own music, the ear training you need is to have a couple of chords running in the background, and you don't even have to know what they are. And then you take that scale that fits the chords somewhat, and then you find the notes that really sound good, and you just start in different positions. You can take the first position, minor pentatonic, and then start on the 3 top strings, and then go to the bottom 3 strings, because you need to really feel at home and play major chord progressions, C major chord progressions, for an entire week. And only play using that first position, so you really learn your way around it. So your mind, your ear, becomes accustomed to hearing those chords and finding its way around that same scale shape and finding the cool notes within it. So you suddenly know what you're doing instead of, and that's basically what it is, right? For that minor, is that it has a minor gear or a blues gear. Those are the same. Right? That's the blues gear. You hear that sound? And then it has a major gear. Totally different sound, same scale. Right? But the way I learned how to navigate these two sounds was simply to play and listen. And that is such an essential part of improvisation. And then just think about it. As you are doing that, you're improvising, right? You're just not very good at it, but you're actually improvising because you're doing the right thing. You know, got that. Right? Now that's a good note right there. Better. Yeah. No, different realm, right? It's better. Better. And in the process, really, what goes on here, what really happens, and I really urge you to pick a very limited area of the fretboard so you get to know that, right? And then what really happens is that you try to create melodies. What is a melody? Well, it's going from one chord note to another using the scale notes as passing notes. Any melody you have that you hear is that, right? That's why the chords are like they are. If you try to sing a melody over the C chord and the G chord, like down, da da da, down was one of the notes you hear in the chord. Da, that was a root note. Da da da, da. That was the fifth of G, right? Just by intuition, by not. Ba da da da. Fifth of C, ba da da da, da 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 da, da. There we go, all right? Right? So that's basically what it is. And when you're then practicing using your ear, using a simple scale tool, then with the chords in the background, what you're really trying to do is create melodies, which is just walking from one chord note. So you're constantly trying to listen for what sounds good. Another little. And what really happens is you start getting to know the scale, the patterns on the fretboard, and you can start, once you do this enough, you actually start hearing what the next note will be. So, like, say, right? So you start connecting when you do this with focus, right? You're not just playing stuff on the fretboard. You do it with focus, and you start connecting, the notes, the movement here down here with the sounds up here. When you do it enough, and that only happens because you focus on finding the right note that sounds really good, right? And you can count on one thing: if you're in any scale and you play a note over a chord in the background, no matter what chord it is, and the note doesn't sound good, go up one step in the scale or down one step in the scale, and it will sound much better. So this is not that hard when you have that little rule, right? And it does the thing we need when we improvise. It gives us like a way of associating and training our ear to actually play with the chords instead of just playing stuff. When we think improvising is a matter of learning scales and arpeggios, then that's what we do. Chords are playing, and then we play our scales and arpeggios, and we wonder why it sounds like absolute, But that's because that's not the origin of improvising. That's not how to teach your brain to do this. That way of ear training is amazing, and it works in the most amazing way. In the next video, we're just going to look at structure. What is that? How do you learn to use that? How do you train and practice that specifically so you can build the most amazing improvisational skills, whether you think you have talent or not? We have an 8-week training course designed to make you a master at improvisation. That's going to take you through a path of doing one thing after another, of building this skill from the bottom up through one training system after the other. And you can go check that out. It's really cool. Click the link below here, and it will show you just exactly how to develop these skills at the highest level and how to do it with no fluff, no magical words of just have to go in there, man, and just use your unique soul to express yourself. Yes, that's what happens when you know your craft, right? But it's going to teach you the craft so you can just release yourself and just have fun improvising. Really improvising without thinking about anything other than what is going on in the music. No words running through your heads. Instead, notes is running through your heads for once, right? So go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video, which is very important. It's all about structure and totally overlooked element of soloing. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.